Greetings once again. Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. King Sadiq. Another incredibly beautiful, just transcendently picturesque day, right? Um, man, the sun, it just you can see it just glaring off of my skin, right? I mean, it is just caressing the landscape. Um, yeah, just I'm extremely happy as usual, right? But I'm just loving this beautiful, beautiful day um, in the summer here. Coming toward the end of the summer, folks. Has anyone noticed how the timeline is moving faster? So you'll be keep that reference in mind, right? Because the album is about to come out soon, and that's actually part of a little line from off of one of my songs. But yeah, and I'm very excited about that. By the way, just as I want as many people possible to read the book, I most certainly want as many people possible, right, to enjoy the sounds, the lyrics, and the vibe of the album, right? I feel pretty happy and proud about that, right? So, yeah, real excited about the album, still excited about the book, excited about life, excited about all of you who took time to chime in and see what the brother's talking about. Trying to spread peace, love, respect to every single being in existence, right? And it's a worldwide movement that's just growing in strength. So thank you folks for that, right? Uh, okay, I wanted to talk about something that's a bit of a struggle for human beings to deal with, and that is the ego mind. More specifically, I want to talk about the difference between ego and spirit, right? Um, and maybe even touch a little bit on how we can overcome that struggle. So let's be descriptive and talk a little bit about what ego really is, right? This is a sort of an aspect of your mind that is purely myopic, right? Ego and ego's purpose is to focus on you solely. And anyone who knows anything about what I represent and what I'm trying to propagate is selflessness rather than selfishness, which is unfortunately what the ego tends to create most in the average person's mind. Now, don't get me wrong; we need to be concerned about self in certain aspects of our lives. Actually, in everything that we do, we should be concerned about the impact of our actions on our spirit, which is the other thing I want to talk about. But the ego is the part of your mind or the aspect of your mind that always wants everything to be in your control, right? You've heard about or heard the term control freaks. Well, that wouldn't be possible without a big ego, right? Um, some folks' ego grows in a way that it tends to sort of dominate their mentality, right? They see everything from a very myopic lens that only contemplates, only appreciates, or only takes into consideration what things affect them directly or that they perceive affect them directly, right? Remember, perception is the most important uh, guide for our behavior, right? And we form our perceptions based on the information we receive uh, from the various stimuli that we come in contact with throughout our lives and our daily lives, right? So, these folks perceive everything um, as it impacts them or that they perceive impacts them. And that naturally would cause one to not take into account or to rather dismiss what impacts the whole or the collective. If we go and reference uh, one of my favorite television personalities, right? Uh, Mr. Spock, what did he always say? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, right? Well, that is pretty much flipped uh, in the ego, right? The ego truly perceives everything in an order of importance that goes the needs of the one, or rather the needs of me, uh, outweigh the needs of anything else or anyone else. And that sort of mentality is what has driven this society in the direction that we find ourselves in. While we have accomplished a great many beautiful things on this planet, um, we have also done a lot of harm. Human beings, I'm referring to, right? To this planet, to our environment, to other beings that inhabit this planet. Um, and that is purely a result of the ego, right? You would not even be able, this is anyone, uh, to conceive of the many different things that we've done negatively, sadly, uh, to impact the planet, its inhabitants, our environment, these selfish things, and I'm listen, realistically, folks, these things happen. There are people at the head of powerful corporations that produce products that have a severe impact on the ecosystem, right? We all know this argument. Um, I'm not talking as much about that process because, again, we all know that argument, right? We know that we've been terrible for the environment. We need to get better. What I'd like to focus on is the fact that the person who makes, or the persons who make those sort of decisions, why, right? What is it about their mentality that would have them put profit over people, or profit over the environment, profit over their planet? Again, I made the statement before that human beings are the only animals we know of that destroy their own nest, right? Um, it's sort of an insanity if you stop and think about it. So, uh, that mentality, the person who says, listen, I don't care that maybe 50 years down the line there's going to be a profound negative impact on the environment uh, caused by this product that I'm about to go ahead and release through nefarious means, right? Fooling the public, or at least not warning the public about this negative impact and giving others the chance to weigh in on as to whether or not they, in fact, would like that released. Um, you know, it takes a person to really be thinking and focusing on material, right? And money, right? the love of money. And I really don't like to talk negatively about the acquiring of money because, there's some beautiful folks out there with a lot of money who do a lot of good, right? So, you know, keep doing that. Appreciate you. Um, Perhaps King Sadiq will be at that point in sometime soon and do as much as I possibly can to help. My heart, and I know the heart of a lot of folks out there, good people, right? Is such that whatever we acquire, um, we just naturally feel that it's a good thing to give and to help, right? But that's because there are a lot of folks who are very in touch with spirit. Spirit is very different than ego in that spirit is in tune with the truth or the true nature of existence, which is that we are all one and that we all spring from the same energy, uh, different expressions of that energy with very important purpose for that. Um, but we are indeed all one. I've done videos touching on that. Um, and because of that, the spirits in tune is with the collective energy of all things in existence, right? Um, Spirit, of course, would not be in favor of harming anything or anyone because you are, in essence, harming yourself. See, that's the aspect of this that it's hard for a lot of folks to wrap their heads around. The concept, if I were to say to a person, listen, you are me and I am you, they're going to look at me, what do you mean? No, you're you and I'm me. Um, but in fact, in reality, we are the same energy emitted from the same source, expressed differently. What creates that expression? What creates that expression is the output that you give and that we give creatively to the universe. So if I am outputting in my field of perception some form of energy that has expressed itself as you, the person I'm coming in contact with, then at that point, I am only experiencing an aspect of myself because it's an aspect of my own mind that I must have, whether it be conscious or subconscious, that I emitted creatively to the universe in order for it to represent itself in my sphere of perception as you, right? Deep down the rabbit hole just a little bit. I could do hour-long videos on perception and how we can perceive things a lot differently if we look from the aspect of the fact that we are all one, right? But naturally, your spirit is in tune with all things. So the destruction of the planet for material gain is something that is appalling to spirit, right? Harming of any other living being is something that is appalling to your spirit. Um, Anything perverse, right? Anything negative in the, well, negative and positive, let's reserve that for talking about polarity because negative doesn't always equate to evil or bad. But anything that is destructive, harmful, myopic, selfish, um, that's all ego, and that is very much not what your spirit is inclined to. So you've got a battle there, right? Ego versus spirit. Um, your spirit would very much consider the impact of your actions upon the planet, its inhabitants, the environment, um, and your ego would not, because your ego's focus again is myopic and would only be thinking about how you could profit or gain, right, as an individual. So I did say that there are some times that ego is important, right? We do sometimes need to be myopic, but we need to always have that spiritual overview that keeps us from being too much of that, right? Too focused on the things that really don't matter, that we perceive and make more important than they are, right? Quite honestly, um, I find that many of us focus on our appearance a little too much, right? It's always great to be, uh, looking and feeling great, be groomed and whatnot. I know when I shave and chop up really crispy, and I do pretty good at times because uh, I come from that background. My father was a barber. Um, but then there's times like today where I just go out and let myself be comfortable as I am, right? And just go out and experience this beautiful planet as it is, right? Um, Sometimes we need to really stop, appreciate things for what they are, for the beauty that has been created by our Creator, and let it be. Let it be, right? Uh, Women, you wake up. My perspective is that you are a beautiful gift to this planet. Truly, as a man, you know, I shudder to think what the world would be like without the intelligent wisdom, the creativity, the beautiful nature of women, and the beautiful softness that you bring to the world. Right? Don't lose that in a pursuit for uh, um, some imagery of perfection that denies you the comfort of enjoying the natural you. Right? Uh, you don't need to do the makeup routine constantly. You don't need to overdo that, right? Hey, don't want to judge you. Do what you do. Make yourself feel good, but know that at least I perceive, and many do, that you are beautiful the second you roll out of bed, the second you were created, and certainly as you are naturally, right? And that's how spirit vibes. Spirit enjoys the creation that the Creator made. What about that, folks? Your Creator thought you up in His mind and concentrated on you with enough love and concentrated energy that He created you to be as you are. Celebrate that. Enjoy that. That's what your spirit side wants. And the same thing about our planet, right? This planet is beautiful, spectacularly so, as it is and as it was when it was created. So let's not harm it and destroy it, or let's not feel that we need to necessarily even mold it to what we want it to be. Let's appreciate it for what it is. That is when we have spirit able to um, guide our actions, right? And prevent ego from being dominant. See, ego has no problem taking over the show, right? You don't have to prompt ego to step up and be dominant in your life. Ego will rear its head constantly, if not subdued or controlled or utilized in the way that you would like. Ego's there to stay, and it's that we need spirit, right, to keep us grounded, quite literally, to the rest of creation. And when we have that overview, we tend to make decisions and have actions that are appreciative of the impact that we would have on others, on our planet, our environment, um, and we would certainly make decisions that are far more responsible in that regard. And that's, you know, the unfortunate thing that we see many of us struggling with, and even more unfortunate that those individuals who are in power, so to speak, um, the quote unquote elites, right, tend to generally have a very selfish, myopic, ego dominated mentality, um, which isn't the greatest recipe, right? Tons of resources, a very ego, myopic, selfish mentality, put them together, and we see some of the negative impacts um, that we have on the planet today. So, what is King Sadiq suggesting? That we rest of the 99%, right? That we utilize our ability to be guided by spirit, and we courageously step up. We do so in as much of a unified manner as possible to impact the world in a more responsible way. Um, you know, by making our decisions, um, utilizing the overview of spirit, and certainly developing a mentality that is guided by the overview of spirit rather than dominated by the ego mind, right? Um, so yeah, when we do that, we are beautiful beings ourselves that truly accent this planet and are a benefit to the rest of creation. Let's be that, right? It's a choice. Let's be that. Let's help rather than hurt. Uh, and as usual, you know what I'm about to say. Thank you. I love you all. Worldwide movement, peace, love, respect. King Sadiq.